Left behind, the alien hospital was silent except for the soft beeping of strange machines. Bright blue lights covered the walls, and the air smelled of cold medicine. Nurses walked quickly through the long halls, whispering to each other, their faces filled with fear. In one small room on a metal bed, a young alien girl lay still. Her skin, once bright with natural patterns, had turned pale and dull. Every breath she took was weak, almost broken. Doctors stood around her, shaking their heads. One of them spoke in a low voice. "It is no use, she will not survive the night. We must stop wasting time." Another nodded, writing something on a glowing tablet. They had already decided. Her life was not worth saving. She was too weak. Her sickness too strange. Their medical science had failed. Two nurses entered the room and, without emotion, began to disconnect the tubes that were keeping her alive. Her eyes moved slightly, fear showing inside them, but her voice was too weak to cry out. In the hallway, the doctors whispered, "Better to let her go, there is no cure." To them, she was already gone. But in that same hallway, someone was watching. A human traveler, who had come to this alien world for work, stood silently near the door. He had seen the cold faces of the doctors, the way they abandoned her without a second thought. Something inside him twisted with anger. He could not believe what he had just heard. Back on Earth, he had seen people suffer, but never had he seen doctors give up so easily. To him, life was always worth fighting for. The human stepped closer, watching as the nurses began to push the girl's bed out of the room, heading toward the empty ward, where those with no chance were left to die. Her small hand fell off the side of the bed, weak and lifeless. For a moment, her dull eyes met his. In that instant, he felt a sharp pain in his heart. She was not ready to die. She was begging silently for help. The nurses walked past him, not even noticing his presence, but he could not move. He could not let this happen. His sister had once been in a hospital bed too, years ago on Earth. The doctors had told him and his family that she had no hope. But she had lived longer because he never left her side, holding her hand every night. She had died eventually, but he had learned something powerful. Hope matters. Even when medicine fails, hope can still save. The human clenched his fists. He followed the nurses as they wheeled the girl into a cold, dark room with no machines. No doctors, only silence. They placed her bed against the wall and left without a word, the door closing with a heavy sound. The room smelled of dust, like a forgotten place. She was truly abandoned. He stepped inside after they left. His footsteps echoed against the empty walls. Slowly, he walked up to her bed. Her breathing was so light that it seemed she might stop any second. He reached out, hesitating for a moment, then gently took her cold hand in his. Her skin felt fragile, like thin glass that could break at any touch. Her eyes moved again, just slightly, looking at him with a silent question. "Why, are you here?" He bent down and whispered, "You are not alone. I will not let you die like this." His voice was soft but filled with strength. He did not know why he said it, but he knew he meant every word. She blinked slowly, a tear escaping from the corner of her eye. Even in her weakness, she seemed to understand. From outside the door, faint laughter could be heard. Two alien doctors spoke as they passed by. "The human is wasting his time. He cannot save her. Their kind knows nothing of our diseases." Another replied coldly, "Let him try. It will change nothing." But inside the room, the human sat beside her, refusing to move. He remembered how people had once mocked humans for being fragile, for being short-lived compared to other species. Yet in his heart, he carried something stronger than any medicine. He carried the will to fight for life, even when others had given up. He leaned back in the chair, still holding her hand. The sound of her faint breaths filled the silence. He knew he had no tools, no medicine, no knowledge of alien biology. But he had time and he had determination, and sometimes that was enough to begin. The hours passed slowly. Nurses peeked in from time to time, shaking their heads at the human's stubbornness. They whispered to each other, "Why does he stay? She is already gone." But still, he stayed. He gave her sips of water, wiped the sweat from her forehead, whispered words of comfort. He promised her over and over again, "I will not let you be forgotten." As the night grew darker, her breathing weakened even more. The human felt fear rising in his chest. He looked at her, then at the ceiling, whispering to himself, "Please, let me find a way." For the first time since he had come to this alien world, he felt the weight of being human. Weak in body, limited in knowledge, but strong in heart. When the first light of dawn touched the hospital windows, the girl was still alive, though barely. The human had not left her side for a single moment. His eyes burned from lack of sleep, his body ached, but his spirit did not break. He looked at her and whispered again, "I will find a way. I don't care what anyone says. I will save you." And, somewhere deep inside, for the first time, she seemed to believe him. A human's promise. The cold alien morning began with silence, broken only by the steady hum of machines far away in the hospital halls. The human sat beside the alien girl's bed, his eyes red from no sleep. Her small hand was still in his, and though her pulse was weak, it was there, faint, but alive. To him, that faint beat was worth more than any treasure in the galaxy. Suddenly, the door opened with a loud metallic sound. 2 alien guards stepped inside, their tall frames casting shadows across the room. Their silver armor glowed faintly under the dim lights, and their faces showed no emotion. One of them pointed at the human and said coldly, "Leave. This one has been declared beyond saving. You are breaking hospital rules." The human tightened his grip on the girl's hand. His voice was calm but steady. "If you want me to leave, you will have to drag me out. But I will not abandon her." The guards exchanged glances, surprised at his defiance. Few dared to resist their authority, especially not a human. One guard took a step forward, his hand moving toward his weapon. The human stood slowly, his body tense, his eyes burning with quiet fire. "I will not fight you," he said, "but I will not let her die alone. If you remove me by force. And then her blood will be on your hands." For a long moment, silence filled the room. The guards stared at him as if trying to measure his will. Finally, one of them spoke in a low voice. "Foolish human, you care too much for a life that means nothing." With that, they turned and left, leaving the human alone again. He sat back down, breathing heavily. He knew they might return, but he had won a little more time. He looked at the girl and whispered, "I promised I would not leave you, and I will not break my promise." Hours passed, and the human's mind kept searching for answers. He did not know alien biology, but he remembered something from his training on Earth. He had once studied survival medicine, how to heal with almost nothing. Plants, minerals, simple tools. Maybe, just maybe, something here could help. He left the room quietly, making his way into the alien city outside the hospital. The streets were crowded, filled with merchants selling strange glowing fruits, herbs with smoke rising from them, and powders that shimmered in the light. The human stopped at every stall asking questions, trading what little he had. Most aliens laughed at him. One merchant sneered, "Why do you ask, human? That girl is already dead. Our doctors gave up. Do you think you are greater than them?" The human's jaw tightened. He replied softly, "I don't need to be greater. I just need to try." The merchant's laughter followed him as he walked away. Yet, a few alien eyes followed him with curiosity. They whispered to each other, "Why does he care so much? What drives him?" By afternoon, the human carried a small bag of herbs and minerals. He had no idea if they would work, but his heart told him to try. Back in the room, he crushed the herbs with a stone, mixing them with water until it became a paste. Carefully, he placed it on the girl's skin where her veins showed dark and weak. He whispered, "This may hurt, but stay with me, please stay with me." The girl's eyelids fluttered, a faint groan escaping her lips. For the first time, a sound came from her since she had been left behind. The human's heart leaped with hope. He gave her small drops of water, helping her swallow. Night came again. The human stayed awake, feeding her the strange mixture slowly, cooling her fever with damp cloths. At times, he felt her breathing grow weaker, and fear stabbed his chest, like a knife. He whispered, "Not yet. Don't go yet. I promised you. You will live." Outside the room, whispers grew louder. The hospital staff mocked him openly. The human plays doctor. He wastes his energy. Others shook their heads. It is foolish. Yet, no one has ever defied us like this. But not everyone mocked. A young alien nurse, her eyes full of curiosity, lingered outside the door. She whispered to another, "Do you see? He has not left her side even once. Why does he fight for her life when even her own people gave up?" The other nurse shrugged. "Humans are strange. They cling to hope when there is none." The young nurse's gaze softened. "Maybe that is not weakness. Maybe that is strength." As dawn broke again, the girl opened her eyes just slightly. Her lips trembled, and she whispered something so faint the human almost missed it. He leaned closer, his heart racing. "Why? Help me," she breathed. The human smiled through his exhaustion. "Because you are alive, and as long as you are alive, you deserve a chance." A single tear slipped from her eye, and she closed them again, drifting into uneasy sleep. But to the human, those words were everything. She had spoken. She was fighting. He leaned back, his hand still holding hers, and whispered with unshakable resolve, "I will not fail you. I promised. And I will keep that promise, no matter what it takes." And outside, in the shadows of the hallway, unseen, eyes watched. Some were filled with doubt, others with anger. But a few were filled with something new, respect and fear, for they began to realize what it meant when a human refused to give up. The fight against time. The hospital lights flickered as another long night began. The human sat close to the alien girl, her breathing shallow, her body trembling with weakness. He had kept her alive for 2 days, but he could feel time slipping away. Her pulse was fading like a candle in the wind. His chest tightened with fear, but his mind refused to give in. He whispered to himself, "I cannot stop now. If I stop, she dies." The mockery grows outside the room. The alien doctors grew restless. Their voices echoed in the halls. "Why does the human continue? He is only delaying the inevitable. He should let nature take its course. He does not understand. We gave up because there is no cure." But not everyone mocked. The young alien nurse who had watched him before now stood silently by the door. Her eyes carried a strange light, a mixture of doubt and hope. She whispered, "What if he succeeds?" Her words spread among other staff like a spark in dry grass. Some laughed at the idea, but others began to wonder. Desperate measures. The human spread out the small herbs, minerals, and powders he had collected. Most were nearly finished. His hands shook as he mixed another crude medicine. He had no machines, no knowledge of alien science, but he had instinct, courage, and the memory of every survival trick he had ever learned. He pressed the mixture onto her skin again. He gave her drops of liquid, forcing her weak throat to swallow. But still her chest rose and fell slower, slower, slower. Panic stabbed his heart. He gripped her shoulders and whispered fiercely, "Stay with me. Do not leave me now, not when we have come this far." But her eyes rolled back, her lips turning pale. Her small hand slipped from his. For one terrifying moment, she lay still. No breath, no sound, no life. The human's heart froze. His mind screamed, "No, not like this. Not when I promised." The last attempt, he moved quickly, pressing his ear against her chest. Silence. The silence of death. His whole body shook, but he refused to believe it was the end. He remembered something, an old Earth survival method used by soldiers when no doctors were near. Without thinking twice, he placed both hands on her chest and pushed hard, rhythmically, again and again. His voice trembled but grew stronger as he spoke to her between compressions. "Breathe. You hear me? Breathe." He tilted her head back, forcing air into her lungs with his own breath. He pressed again, faster now, desperate. His tears fell onto her cold skin. He begged, "Don't leave me. You are not allowed to leave me." The young alien nurse had entered quietly, watching in shock. She gasped when she realized what he was doing. "What is this? What is he?" The human did not answer. He just kept going. Minutes felt like hours. His arms ached, but he would not stop. His whole soul screamed with one single thought: "I will not lose her." The return of life. Then it happened. A faint gasp escaped her lips. Her chest rose weakly, then fell, then rose again. The sound of air filled her lungs. Her dull eyes flickered, open just for a second. The human froze, his hands trembling. His tears turned into a broken smile. "That's it. Yes, you're still here." The nurse covered her mouth in shock. She lives." The girl coughed weakly, her body trembling, but she was alive. The human quickly covered her with blankets, warming her shaking form. He whispered softly, almost like a prayer. I told you I wouldn't let you go." Fear in the shadows, but not everyone was pleased. From the far corner of the hallway, an alien council officer watched silently. His eyes were cold and filled with anger. He whispered to another elder, "If this story spreads, it will shame our entire medical system. The people will ask, why did a human succeed when we failed?" The elder replied darkly, "Then we must make sure it does not spread." The human, exhausted but victorious, did not hear their words. He only felt the girl's weak hand press against his, as if she was holding on to life itself. But unseen dangers were rising around him. For saving one girl, he had unknowingly started a storm that could shake the entire alien world. The miracle, the hospital buzzed with whispers. News spread quickly. The girl who was abandoned had breathed again, and it was a human who saved her. At first, no one believed it. Doctors scoffed, calling it a rumor. But the young alien nurse, who had witnessed the human pressing life back into the girl's chest, could not stay silent. She whispered to others, "I saw it with my own eyes. He forced her heart to beat again. She lives because of him." By morning, a crowd gathered outside the girl's room. Some came out of curiosity, others with disbelief, and a few with quiet respect. They peered through the glass, expecting to see a corpse. Instead, they saw the human sitting at her bedside, holding her hand, whispering words of comfort as she slept. Her breathing was weak but steady. Respect and anger, among the onlookers, two emotions clashed. Many aliens looked at the human with awe. "He refused to give up when our own doctors abandoned her," one murmured. "Is this the strength of humanity?" But others, especially the alien council members, burned with anger. A high-ranking council officer growled, "This is dangerous. If word spreads, our people will question us. They will ask why a human could succeed where our finest failed." Another council elder, his voice cold, replied, "Then silence him, remove the girl. End this before it becomes a story of shame." The decision was made in shadows. The human must not be allowed to continue. A secret visit. That night, as the human sat beside the girl, the young nurse slipped into the room. Her eyes were filled with urgency. "They will come for you," she whispered. "The council. They fear what you have done. They cannot accept that a human showed them their weakness." The human's jaw tightened. He looked at the girl, then back at the nurse. "I don't care about their pride. I only care about her life." The nurse nodded, her voice trembling. "Then be careful. If they cannot control you, they may try to erase you." Before leaving, she pressed a small vial into his hand. "This is an old extract from our ancestors. It is forbidden now, but some say it has healing power. Maybe it can help her recover. The human stared at the vial, its liquid glowing, faintly like starlight. He whispered, "Thank you." The test of faith as the girl stirred weakly. The human gave her drops of the glowing liquid. For a moment nothing happened. His heart sank, but then her breathing grew deeper, her dull skin gaining faint color. Her eyelids fluttered, and her lips parted. She whispered with difficulty, Why do you fight so hard? For me." The human leaned close, his voice firm yet gentle. "Because every life matters. You are not a number, not a mistake. You are alive, and that is enough." A tear slid down her cheek. For the first time, hope returned to her eyes. The council moves, but hope was dangerous. Outside, the council gathered. The elder spoke in a low, venomous tone. The girl must not survive. If she does, she will become a symbol. And the human, he will be seen as greater than us. That cannot happen. They ordered guards to prepare a transfer. In truth, it was an execution in disguise. The young nurse overheard and ran to warn the human. "They are coming tonight," she said, breathless. "They will take her away and she will not return. You must protect her." The human's face hardened. He looked at the fragile girl lying on the bed, then at the door where heavy footsteps echoed closer. His voice was steel. "Then they will have to go through me first." The miracle becomes a threat. The door burst open. Guards stepped in, tall and armored, their glowing weapons pointed at him. One declared, "Step aside, human, she must be transferred." The human rose slowly, placing himself between the girl and the guards. His voice was calm but filled with fire. "No, she stays here, she lives." The guards sneered. "You dare defy the council? You are nothing but a fragile outsider." The human's eyes blazed. "Fragile? Maybe. But I will not stand aside while you murder her." The girl stirred, whispering faintly, "Don't. Leave me." Her weak voice cut through the tension like lightning. The crowd outside gasped, for they heard her too. She was alive. She was speaking. The guards hesitated. For a brief moment, doubt cracked their obedience. And in that moment, the miracle of her survival became more than just one life saved. It became a challenge to an entire empire's pride. Hope restored. The tension inside the hospital room was like a storm. The human stood between the fragile girl and the armored guards. His body was weary, his eyes red with exhaustion, but his will was unbroken. The guards' weapons glowed brighter. One stepped forward. "Move aside. This girl is to be taken away. The council has spoken." The human's voice was low, steady, but carried the weight of iron. "I do not care what the council says. She will not be taken. If you want her, you must step over me first." The guards hesitated. They were trained to obey orders without question. But something about the human's stance unsettled them. His frame was smaller, weaker than theirs, yet his presence filled the room with strength. Behind them, the watching crowd of nurses and patients murmured. They had seen the girl breathe again. They had heard her voice. They had seen the human's hands bring her back from death. The voice of hope. The girl stirred on her bed. Her voice was faint, fragile, but it cut through the silence like a blade. "Don't take me. Please." The crowd gasped. She was alive. Alive, because a human had refused to let her go. The guards froze. Doubt cracked their loyalty. One lowered his weapon slightly, whispering to the other, "She lives. We cannot deny it." The human turned to the crowd, his voice rising. "You see her? Your own doctors abandoned her. Your leaders gave up, but she is alive because someone believed her life mattered. Not because of machines, not because of power, but because of hope." His words spread like fire. Aliens in the crowd nodded, their eyes wide with awe. A patient shouted, "He did what our council could not." Another cried, "He gave her life when all said she was dead." The guards stepped back, shaken by the growing voices. The council's last command, but the council elders arrived, their robes flowing like shadows. Their faces were cold, their voices sharp. This is chaos. The human is a liar. The girls, life is an illusion, remove them both. But before the guards could move, the young nurse stepped forward. She raised her voice so all could hear. I saw it. I saw him press life into her chest when she was gone. I saw her breathe again. He did what none of you could. More voices joined. It is true. We all saw. The human saved her. The council's anger deepened. But the tide had already turned. Too many had witnessed the miracle. Too many had seen the truth. The turning point. The girl sat up slowly, trembling, her weak body supported by the human's arm. She looked out. At the crowd, her voice faint but clear. I was left to die, but he stayed. He fought for me when no one else would. He gave me life again. Remember that. The room fell silent. Her words struck like lightning in every heart. The human whispered to her, Rest. You've done enough. But in truth, she had done everything. She had become a living symbol, the fall of silence. The guards dropped their weapons. One knelt, bowing his head. Forgive us, we obeyed orders, but today we saw truth. The crowd erupted with voices, a wave of sound that shook the hallways. Honor the human. Respect the one who saved her. Never again will we abandon life. The council tried to shout over them, but their voices were drowned by the roar of the people. The power they held through silence and fear crumbled in a single moment of hope. Hope restored. The human looked down at the girl who smiled weakly, her hand still clutching his. He did not ask for glory. He did not seek reward. His heart was full only with relief that she lived. He turned to leave quietly, but the crowd surged forward. They reached out not to stop him but to honor him. Even those who once mocked him now bowed their heads. For the first time they understood the truth of humanity. Not strength of weapons, not wealth of empires, but the power to never give up on life. As he walked into the rising light of dawn, the whispers of the people followed him. If one human can save one life, perhaps humans can change the fate of many. And in that moment, hope was not just restored to one dying girl. It spread like a flame across an entire world.